You're right. He's cool and calm right now, but where the zone goes could determine a lot for him. But look at that. More people rotating instantly as zone was revealed. You heard the sound cue that said the next zone has just showed up. And instantly people are running across the map. That means probably a max distance zone here for Coolest Carrot. And everybody near him. And it is going to be mostly pulled forward south. He does have that drum gun that we talked about when we first saw him. It is nice. Yeah, the fish specifically, the floppers. And something there that he did, make sure he builds over the bush, knowing that there could be an enemy lying in wait.
Using his wood builds as well. There's a lot of extra wood that he can refarm. He has a lot of trees. He might even take a few hits as he goes through. Looks like he might. Just you can refarm that wood as you go. Using those heavier mats, that brick, that metal is going to give you more of a defensive position like we see in front of him. The fully built metal you can't see, and it's going to take more shots. But you're not going to find much brick and metal around here unless you get an elimination. So he's using his mats very, very well, trying to make it into zone. We haven't seen too many, I would say, like long storm flopper plays here in the end games we've watched today. Maybe because they were on that lower end. Extra wood that he can refarm. He has a lot of trees. He might take a few hits as he goes through. Looks like he might. You can refarm that wood as you go. Using those heavier mats, that brick, that metal, very quickly. So good defensive position like we see in front of him right now for this end game. You can't see, and it's going to take more shots, but you're not going to find much brick and metal around here unless you get elimination. So he's using his mats very, very well, trying to make it into zone. We haven't seen too many, I would say, like long storm flopper plays here in the end games we've watched today.
So much impact on that lower end. Solos specifically, but we haven't really seen a major solos time perfectly. From what we've seen in these last two games, it has been those mythic items, the grappler coming into effect, the drum guns. We haven't quite seen Brutus's spread out it is over the entire. But we hear it off in the distance right as I say that.
Plays here in the end games we've watched today.
So much impact on
a lot of those mythic items are more solo. You can use the grapple more defensively.
We haven't really seen a major solo.
Being able to rack up those eliminations, they're massive. Got a player sitting inside the cone, good positioning. Got a lot of players. This is looking like already a lot heavier of an end game. So
from what we've seen in these last two games, has been those mythic items, the grappler coming into effect, the drum guns. We haven't quite seen Brutus's spread out it is entire. But we hear it off in the distance right as I say that. So much impact on those mythic items. Solo. You can use the anything positionally, but we haven't fully embraced.
Being able to rack up those
eliminations, they're
massive.
Playing on Team Wave Esports, and he's played with Styler in a couple of different cash cups.
A lot heavier of an
I don't know if he played too many guys. From what we've seen in these last two games, has been Styler playing those mythic items, the grappler, all of those effects, the drum guns. We haven't quite seen Brutus's spread out this invitation, but we hear it off the grappler right as I say that. He has Sky's AR. He has a lot of potential. So much impact on the high ground take from the grappler, at least the rotation. Solo take stops, maybe go over. Stab him half fully embraces who that is. This is a player playing on Team Wave Esports, and he's played with Styler in a couple of different cash cups. I don't know if he played too many times. From what we've seen in these last two games, has been Styler playing those mythic items, the grappler, all of those. The drum gun. We haven't quite seen Brutus's spread out this invitation. We hear it off the grappler right as I say that. He has Sky's AR. He has a lot of potential. So much impact. High ground take from the grappler, at least the rotation. Solo take stops, maybe go over. Stab him half fully embraces who that is. This is a player on Team Wave Esports, and he's played with Styler in a couple of different cash cups. The beginning of Chapter 2 for solo games, when you'd be watching players like Benji in these end games. Very, very good. And we'll have to see now where 6 Gone goes. There's definitely a lot of people fighting, but I think most of the players know that they just have to bide their time and wait a little bit, and then the eliminations will come to them. But also, the placement points are racking up right now. Every single time somebody goes down, they're getting very, very close to maximizing all of what they can get in this game.
Definitely. We haven't talked about it too much. Obviously, the guys did a great job, Shayo and Sundown, talking about the new point format, but at the same time, they're going to start getting some serious placement points. They start earlier, but you get them more often. So just the more you make it endgame, it's not about those massive thresholds anymore. That top 25, that top 15, you are getting them constantly. So the longer you can survive, even if a couple people, makes a huge difference in these lobbies. We saw the leaderboard from other regions coming down to 3-4 points. He's on top of his cone, boxed up around him.
Definitely a lot of people
maybe a bit of inexperience. The drum gun comes out and takes him down, boxing up on a cone that wasn't his. Didn't try to claim it, and we see how it goes against him. And there's the floppers. You talked about it earlier, Baller. He has the luxury of sitting in Storm now, using them, getting his shields off, but this is going to be a tough rotate. How do you reckon he's going to make it?
Well, there's a launch pad in front of him. He's going to be able to pop that, and with the floppers, he might spend them all, but he could get in the zone. Yes, there's an opening. And he's going to land very close to height. I thought there was a potential there for him to even land on top of him, but no, he's going to have a cooler head. Sit down, heal up, get in zone, and then start looking for opportunities, but also make the decision of where this next zone goes and how fast he needs to get over there.
Yeah, he's in a good position now. He's got the drum gun out. 77 builds left. He's looking for what he can deal with. 24 players alive. We're getting some serious placement points now. Rotating zone goes north again. It's far away from all these players. No one is there on front side. He's making his way through if he can. Interesting shots coming out now. He's trying to make his way into the tunnel, and oh my gosh, the drum gun melting the player in front of him. Doesn't manage to pick up too many mats off it. He is just aggressively pushing forward. A lot of times we talk about getting into zone, then shooting back. Coolest Carrot does not care. He wants to shoot while rotating. He wants to get the eliminations on the way through.
In a moment now that he reloads everything, gets through. 12 players left, make that 11 as Boomer takes one out. Top 10. 4 eliminations for Coolest Carrot, and I think he's looking for way more builds so far ahead of 7th zone, but he's still looking down. Who's on height? It's Akeem. As he takes out Pool, there's still a large tarp over the trees. Nobody actually knows that this is too possible as they look up, and they don't really see too much because the tree's in the way. Oh, the beams, 66 and 33, and the recipient of that is actually Coolest Carrot. He gets the elim from it. And 3 go down in quick succession, and there's the grappler. That's a big threat for Akeem, especially being low HP.
4 players alive, 10 health, though. He needs to be careful. If he gets knocked down at all, 10 health, he's going to go down to 4 damage. You don't want that at this point. Coolest Carrot, 15 builds left. He's got such a good loadout. He's dropping down. It's a 1v1v1 situation. Coolest Carrot, he's looking for this one. He wants both the eliminations. He comes through with a drum gun. Bit of a switch around. He gets himself put in the box, but he stays alive. 42 health in zone, 32. He's trying to get up if he can. 22 health. He has the extra builds, though. The material advantage proving itself massive. Takes the high ground. He takes the hill. I don't know if this player on low ground has the builds to get up. He's just got time. He's got the breather. He gets the minis off. He can go for it, the right-hand peek with the drum gun or the legendary tack. Both of this is going to be lethal. He's closing it out. Here it comes in the 82 tag. He takes down a Kim who just slid in on the high ground. He did well. 62 effective health takes him to the second, but Coolest Carrot with all those eliminations endgame. He did phenomenal.
Man, he's had his fair share of carrots because his eyes were on point, doing everything he needed to finish off that game. I think, I don't know if you guys saw, but in the elimination feed, Wave Pusher also made it there. I think he was like top 5 somewhere there, so also finding eliminations and placement. So a lot of these guys are going to be contending for these top 100 spots to try and move on. What do you think of that first game there, Paula?
I think that that Pusher is somebody that we're going to see over towards the top, but Coolest Carrot, I mean, he cleaned up. We even saw some of the things that happened high ground affecting elims that he got. And then he actually cleaned up everything. So I think that that was awesome, and I think that was also one of our first looks at what we might see out of the stat games as we continue through this open qualifier, and also what we might see at the beginning of tomorrow too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, like, running it back, you know, we watched as Coolest. He kind of got himself in that situation where he was stuck in the storm. He used the floppers, though, efficiently to try and keep himself alive. Now, thankfully, there was that launch pad right there that really helped him get back into the game and kind of push on the edge of the storm. If that hadn't been there, that might have gone a little bit differently. I don't know that he would have made it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the addition of the Mythic POIs, you know there's going to be a certain amount of launch pads on the map at all times. They're guaranteed to drop out of those airdrops. There's always one in the vault, so you know at least some people around you. It's kind of safe to bank on it, but he played that well. That's the thing. Again, he was very aggressive on rotates. It worked well this game. I want to see if he makes it into that top 100. Again, these are the open qualifiers. If he makes it into those finals against those top tier players, you will often get punished for that, though. It works, but if you're versing someone good and they know how to play aggressively back, it can really throw your game, but it worked this time. the aggressive gambler got him a lot of points going into this one. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, man. Let's take a look at the standings right there. OVA Zeston, 185 points. And I mean, I don't know, Simo FN there, 184, only a single point behind. Now, again, the point differential is much smaller there as you're kind of moving up through top 25 to that Victory Royale. But every elimination is 4 points. So, you know, Simo is very, you know, these guys are probably more than likely going to qualify. Now, there's still games to happen tomorrow, but don't forget, look who's in number 7th, Bala. We got Mage back up there.
Yep, he's back up there, but Coolest Carrot was there too, who won that last one that we saw. Drum Gun Buddies are reigning supreme right now. Pusher up there too from that game. We saw Akeem as well, and I believe Vox was in that one too. So definitely a lot of big names in the last one, and like I said, with the matchmaking system the way it is in these open systems, these are the guys who are going to be playing against each other with the times the way they are. There might be certain people who end up in another one, but we're going to see stacked game after stacked game, and this is not only a learning experience, but for us, for the players, for everybody, the audience, we'll see how these continue. And this point disparity, the point spread between top 1 and 30th right now, and these open quals, they end up being very, very close. And also we get to kind of figure out what a good game and what, after 3 games essentially, is what these guys could have played by now. 3 good games that we've watched. This is what those look like. This is what the best of the best are performing right now. It's around 150 points.
Yeah, you talk about the consistency too. It's crazy that Mage, like we saw him drop a 20 elimination game and still he was not in first. So again, is it an issue of consistency? Has he gone down on early game a few times? Hasn't got towards those end games with placement? Sundown touched on it earlier today. It's not that combination of it's either high limbs or high placement. You need to combine the two. You have to play consistent or you're just not going to be up there. To get that many points in one game and still not even be in top 5 is insane. There's a lot of big players here. They're making names for themselves.
That's right, Ozzy. It has been an incredible day so far. Now, for everyone that's just tuning in, welcome to the FNCS Invitational. This is the open qualifier round where 100 players in every region will move on to next week, where all the players that have already been invited will be competing. So this is going to be a little bit different. The format's a little bit different than you're used to seeing, and a little bit more aggressive, as EU is showing us. Now, the games are getting ready right now. The players are boarding the battle bus. We'll be into the next game shortly. Bala, what do you think? Like, and now that you've had kind of time to watch these games, has the format changed up EU's play at all? Do you think it's primarily the same? Do you think it's like, hey, you know what, the more aggressive coming out? You're right. EU is just always sending it.
Zeke, you've been watching Comp Fortnite since the beginning. You've been there since that very first week 1 Summer Skirmish broadcast, and you know that EU always is a little bit more aggressive than anybody, and for good reason. They not only have to, because they have really, really good players. They have to be good at that fighting mechanic. You need to be able to and be prepared when Mitro comes up to you and starts taking your wall. You just have to. So that's kind of why you see these guys good at fighting, is because the good players are really, really good at that. But at the same time, it's their style, man. It's always been their style. And with this format the way it is, I don't think we've seen a change. Because at the end of the day, the goals are still the same, right? Get towards the end game, find elims. And sure, we saw Mage W key a little bit, but that's just because he knows the skill that he has over everybody in those early lobbies.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think, so for me, it's funny because, like, I do agree. I think, though, with the every elim being 4 points, I feel like it's just that much more tantalizing as an option. You're like, okay, yeah, like, I love to W key, sick. But I can get 4 points off it? Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's just go. Let's go. You know, like, you know, especially with the addition of all the mythic weapons as well. Like, you know, I guess, Ozzy, do you feel like those mythic weapons are, like, more conducive to what Europe's doing already? Because, like, obviously there's only so many in a game, right? Especially if you guys haven't played Fortnite recently. That was an addition in this season. So, with that, do you think that's changed up anything? Like, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take too long. I think we got games underway, but I mean, it's going to be, if you're an aggressive player and you back yourself mechanically and you know if you're going to drop one of these POIs, you're going to walk away with one of the best guns. Again, we talk about mythic POIs. We're dropping into the Shark now. Simo's here. He's going to, if he wins this, he picks up a Grappler and Sky's AR. That is massive. So again, if you back yourself as one of those players, it is massive.
That it is, but what else is massive is the amount of players here. There's so many. Simo, we saw him at the top. Finds one to start things off, but no Sky yet. No card to get that vault open. No AR, no grappler. So he's got to find one of those things really fast. Otherwise, he's not going to be a player in this too much more longer. Ooh! And I say that, but no, it doesn't even matter. As Nespit is going to just completely dominate him and make him a non-factor regardless of whether he has the vault card or not. And he's going to be able to pick all of that up in quick fashion.
Definitely, he's got it now as well. So that's the thing. It's one of those drops, again, depending on where you go, being able to pick up that AR and then being able to have the key card. Again, you drop Grotto. If you get the minigun and then you have the card, you can pressure it. But here you get 2 mythic items. Oh, he's inside the box though. 80. Hits him for 80. Gets taken down to 70 health. He had 20 before the Siphon. That is a massive 136 points. If he can walk away with this loot, it's going to be a big game. He needs to try and get into the vault though. They've obviously changed Shark recently. It's got more of a prison loadout now. It's a bit more, it's very box fight induced. There's a lot of verticality in there, but naturally there's just rooms which are their prison cells, right? So there's boxes everywhere. So these players dropping there, using that to his strength and his benefits. There's still 3 players here he has to beat. Chris looking probably the worst of it with no shields. Nesbit though pinned up against the wall. He's got 64 builds, and there it is. Takes down 1. Is he going to take down 4 people and get the vault loot? This would be huge. Knocks him off the stair, breaks him down, places the cone. We've talked about the piece control. It's always the indicator of the superior players right now, and there it is. Nesbit, 4 limbs and the vault.
Yeah. Let's take a second to explain the piece control concept a little bit, because while I might say it a lot to a lot of people who are new to competitive Fortnite might not know exactly what we're talking about. And yes, it's been a thing always to take walls, but when you see these top pros, you see them take the extra step. They're always getting one cone that you would never expect them to be able to do. You see them getting walls behind people, a whole step ahead of them. And that just allows you to control the fight, allows you to put people directly in your hands. You get to control everything in that situation. There's no escape, no routes for them to get out of. And Nespit definitely showing that he can do it, and he can hang with the top.
Here we go, though. We go from an aggressive mythic PY. Now we have a very unaggressive drop. I mean, there's a lot of loot around here. You got the henchman chest over there, so you can guarantee some good loot from that. Oh, drops down, almost drops down. Made a bit of a misplay. It's awkward to build around. He's in the bushes, though. Man, this guy must be back in his shotgun aim. He is dropping straight into bushes. We said last game, watching him, you made a note of building over the bush to make sure this doesn't happen. He's dropping straight in. He's backing his shotgun aim against Mr. T. Oh, and there we come a third party. Again, I'm talking about this drop. There's 3 people here. Oh, the heavy side's through there in the box. It's a 3-way box fight, and there it is. I said he backs his shotgun aim, and maybe with very good reason. He does not miss a single shot. Just walks through both the enemies. My gosh.
And that's gotta feel, that's actually probably one of the best feelings when you're like, oh gosh, there's 3 people landing at my spot when I need this to be uncontested. And then you find yourself the heavy sniper. Maybe he landed over towards Pleasant Park a little earlier, but you find 2 people in a box fight, heavy snipe in, and easy, both of them are cleaned up, both of them are low. That's the best feeling in the world, and that gives momentum now for Gia to possibly go forward with the loot that he has. It's looking really nice for him.
Really, really nice. And that's 8 points right there. 2 eliminations off the bat. It's such a big buffer. Again, he's got 160, but that's a big deal. If you get those eliminations early game now, and then you can ease up a little bit mid game, maybe play really passive to just try and get those maximum placement points, it's going to do it for him. Now we have, ooh, around Grotto. I can't see the Grotto player that actually has the loot. Maybe hunting it down a little bit. We have, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players here. Again, it can get confusing. A lot of those triangles on there. If you're looking at the bottom right minimap, they're actually henchmen. The colored ones are the players, and oh my gosh, the legendary burst being put to use. Worth noting right now, this player is running no shotgun. Very good chance this is a controller player going for that advantage with the fast spray of the SMG. Could be wrong. We'll have to see it. Heavy burst shots is normally a good indicator as well. We'll see if he's going to try and make his way into this one, but he's playing aggressive nonetheless. It's looking like a bit of a mage throwback right now.
Oh. I love the counter there as he edited out, placed the wall quickly. Exteriors, definitely a quick one. And I think we're seeing every single player in this contest. This is actually the first time we're looking at the grotto. And yes, this is a little bit later in the game that we might be seeing. And there was a drop here, a supply crate that landed not too far out. That might make it very much more contested than we might see. But Light is building up over top. And this is a player too, Light. Familiar if you watch the EU scene a little bit. Adds the fishy to his name for extra luck. And both of these guys so quick with the reactions. Every little tag matters, even if it's 30 shield. It doesn't. You just continue to fight. You got to get every single little advantage over your opponent.
Definitely. Talk about luck. I don't think he needs it right now. He's playing this really well. Has the purple pump. I say that though. Beautiful edit out the top, but the player can't track it. No, the third party. There it is. He gets a little bit of payback. Osiris RR hitting him with the AR third party like he did when he first rocked up from the fight. It's almost the exact same situation. And then Osiris choosing not to push it. Maybe a smart play that I got my elimination. I got my 4 points. I'm good on mats. I'm good on loot. I don't need to push into this one. And there it is. Exteriors, I think I might be pronouncing that. Gets everything to himself. That's pretty huge.
There it is, Grotto. So many people. Another box dive. This is Ja that we saw earlier come off of the bridge. And it's a 3-way fight too as this continues now. He's got 3 elims. He's got a launch pad if he wants to get away from it. I see that he doesn't have the big pops that he had earlier. Another 50-50 tack shots. It both trade a little bit. Now they're wall to wall. Heavy snipe into the box. And Ja is just showing off now, but the escape is there. It doesn't matter the phase. Right through the yellow ramp. Ja is showing up, man, and this is box fight prowess too.
This is what today's about. We talked about earlier, finding those new people. Again, maybe I'm ignorant towards EU, but Ja, I've never seen this player that much before. He is dominating today. That's 4 eliminations, but in very clean fashion. He is backing his own aggression. We talked about high skill-based matchmaking lobbies. He's in one of them, and he's still backing his skill. He is going through every wall, and here we go. We're back to Grotto Osiris. Might be able to pull it off again. He does! The third party takes off all the shield. He absolutely beams him from the hill. See if it's going to break out now. We're just going from 3-way fight to 3-way fight. Who do you reckon is going to win this on ball at the situation we're in right now? You're going to make a call on it?
This is going to be difficult. I think Osiris definitely has the opportunity to continue to take beams on these guys as they try to level away. Exterius looks to be signaling that he wants to get away from the fight, get some more materials as his first priority, but hopefully duck back into the grotto and maybe use the air vent that's in there to make his great escape. This is the thing at the grotto, at these mythic POIs, these fights tend to get a little drawn out no matter where the zone is. You might be used to seeing the zone coming in being like, oh, this is a storm fight, you should probably start rotating. But no, at the grotto, at the shark, people will not stop until they get the item that they came there for, which is the vault card and those mythic weapons.
You have the ability to do it a little bit more too, because you're guaranteed some meds in the vault. There's a very high chance you're going to walk back into the vault. There's going to be a med kit lying around, maybe a bandage cannon, so you can heal up from those early game storm fights. You don't have to worry too much. I mean, in high level lobbies, if you watch any of the massive tournaments, they will sit in the vault until they're pretty much gone to storm, just holding it with all the white meds they have. He's pushing through now, the SMG out. Purple pump, green SMG, grey AR. He's running down though. Now Osiris is coming in for a piece of it. Third party specialties. Already picked up 1 free elimination from this. Can he do a second? Put himself up on the high ground above them in a very commanding position. And now he's slowed down this whole fight. When you're trying to take walls, if you know there's someone above you that can take that moment of you focusing on the other enemy to spray you down, it's going to play out a lot slower. He's keeping himself constantly in the position of power. Oh, a very smart disengage. One of the players here choosing to swim around and try and get away. That means Osiris now has to peel his attention, and possibly both these players can get away. There it is. So it's Exteriors. He's going to go around the backside, making his way out. And then we have the player beneath him trying to make it up this hill, this elevation, struggling a little bit, trying to save his match on this awkward elevation. But that was a big disengage. Here he comes up. He's making his way. Maybe he can apply some of the third-party pressure to Osiris. It's just swapping backwards and forwards with the third parties.
That it is. And another fight that looks to go the distance here in Lazy Lake. Rex definitely trying to find a big flank, trying to find the first tags in the fight to make it so that it's an easy cleanup for him. But as soon as there's another third party looking and lying in wait, he says, no, okay, I'm going to go back to where it looks like he found himself in elimination earlier and he knew that there was an extra flirtfish lying around. He goes right back up to 200. Effective HP, and his loadout is looking very, very good. Maybe a little unfocused because he has the RPG and the fish, but
yeah,
he has the opportunity now to make big plays in either direction, right? A couple of flopper in zone, and then also the RPG to knock out and pressure height.
Yeah, my only fear here is the box fight. He's got the purple pump, but if he misses the purple pump shot or it's weak, he's going to rely on the mythic AR. And yes, it hits very hard, but it does have a very slow fire rate. So if you miss a couple shots and you miss that pump shot, you're stranded in a box. If they've got attack, they can put some pressure on, but maybe he has the ability to play that one to his own. He might play slow. Maybe, again, he'll control it. He won't get in the box. We'll see.
And it's so interesting, this open format and this invitational in general, seeing older names that I, recall from prior seasons. I just saw Mawaka end up falling in the feed. And that's something I haven't seen since trios, but back at it again here in the solos open qualifier for the FNCS Invitational. We're all grouped up in one big game mode and have to fend for ourselves. Back at the grotto, Exterios probably still fighting with the same guy from that entire storm fight that we watched. And possibly Osiris is lurking nearby too, but we can't quite see. And this is it. Did any of these guys find the card? Or are basically they fighting for nothing? Are they just going to have to try to get to the air vent and out? Is my biggest question right now. That it's not so many medkits available with how much loot potential is in the grotto. Something like 17 chests plus extra agency chests too. Those are the ones that can have that extra loot. He's gonna go back down and up to get that extra air and fly himself into retail row, and there's nobody there. With the launch pad that he has, I'm wondering if he actually already got the vault earlier on, because that's obviously guaranteed. And when we say that, it's because out of supply crates, there's a 100% chance for a trap slot item to drop. But right now, the only item in there that's not unvaulted is the launch pad. So it's a guaranteed chance of that. Back to Ja, who's made his way all the way from Pleasant Park at the start of the game now to Lazy Lake, and he's in a fight. And this fight is not ending. This guy wants to get in. So Rex had a plan starting from the box factory east of Misty Meadows, south of Lazy Lake, to grab Meowsicle's mythic AR and then move up towards Lazy Lake, possibly find a fight. Mage is in this game as well, and he's at 175 points, so surely we're seeing mostly top 100 players right now. And when we see somebody like what we saw Ja just do, fall before really too many placement points have been accrued, only 2 thresholds in that case, then you have to wonder if that might be the end of the run, or are they going to go right back into another game? Mage picks up another one, and this guy does not stop.
Whew. He's got the slurpfish though, so he can quickly heal this. There it is. One slurpfish popped. If he gets another free second, he'll pop the second one. And there it is. Goes back up to full health. And I don't know if Keys knows that he had those slurpfish, so he might still think that he has the health advantage when it's actually completely even. Mage is in this game, changing his playstyle. Not to harp on the same point, but skill-based matchmaking, a superior player like Mage has identified that. He's changed his playstyle accordingly. He's slowed down, hasn't gone for as many eliminations, making sure he gets to the end game for those placement points. But we say that Keys is on top of him. He's taken the cone, and Mage is too quick for him. This is going to be an interesting fight. This is going to be definitely a good one. Didn't even know Mage was in this lobby until now.
It's going to be awkward after this fight ends, how to get up over that weather station, how to get over that mountain that is looming and threatening pretty much everybody. Though I'm surprised not to see the people up at the top taking shots down at Mage and Keys, and I think Mage knows that. He starts to dance a little bit, have a little bit of fun in the meantime. Keys takes that as a cue for him to get out of here and get right back up to the top. There's loot down here that Mage remembers, and he goes down, grabs it. There's a big pot. This is what I'm talking about, the scaling of the mountain. Jesse on the backside too. Where can they find themselves in a good position? Look how far that zone goes up the mountain. And people shooting right now is actually building back in zone 2. This is causing you to lose opportunities. Don't forget, there are people up on high ground who will 100% have angles as this zone starts to move. So you've got to start trying to find a way in and not take these fights.
Definitely his job down. He's taking the fight though. 90 to 30 tag. He just misses it. Oh, and he lands it though. 11 health. Gets him back up to 61 with the Siphon. He has plenty of meds here, but this player maybe sees that. It's going to start pushing forward. No, chooses not to. Luckily for Jesse here, Skew doesn't have much of a health advantage anyway. 150 effective total. Mage looks like in the back of your screen there, he might still be in a fight or he's rotating. Can't quite see him. He's got a lot of nameplates on top of him. This edge is not too bad of a rotate. Jesse needs to be careful from behind. I said not bad. There's only one player behind him. One's enough to take the shot. The rocket doesn't phase in. He's going to try and get these minis off. He's got the floppers. He can stay here for a while, but this player might not let him. This could be the play. This could be a Controller Rex because he has that mythic heavy AR. I can hear the fire rate. I'm pretty sure this is Controller Rex. And Jesse turns the tide of this fight on him. Drops the launch pad. Can he get him out of the sky? And he does. It was Controller Rex. And now for that, Jesse gets topped up. 4 points and a launch pad and another launch pad from Rex. Thank you very much for taking this fight with me. I appreciate it. I'm going to take everything you had and I'm going to take it to endgame.
Yeah, he is. Stuff falls down the hill, and with that, there is no more heavy AR in play in terms of the mythic rarity. And we scoot back up to the top of this as we see Osiris get taken out in the background by Keys. We tune in with Wind, who was in the top 10 last we checked. And I'm wondering if this is Captain Wind. Ooh, a nice opportunity. The wall opened from Sky. Did not notice it in the background, and Wind did. And that is the end. Good pickup from Wind.
181 points. He's looking good. He's trying to find his way through. We look at the zone right now. Look at the edges. If you're on top of that mountain, you're looking pretty good because everyone's on the edges. There's 2 players up there in the middle, but everyone's down here around Wind. He's got to be careful. This is going to be very, very congested very quickly. We talked about congested, dead side of zone, getting away from other players, but when it's mountains, you just have to get up there and you get in. You don't really have a lot of time to scale the whole mountain sometimes. Wind being one of those players and zone pulls away from them, this is going to be a very, very interesting endgame if these guys don't have launch pads.
Case, but look how the spread is actually up on the side of the mountain. I think we're going to be okay. I think most of those guys will build their way in unless they all decide to sit still and wait for a launch pad to be placed, which could be the case. But the other awkward thing is when you're on top of this mountain, those pulls can be really, really early, and it could actually cause you to lose your game from using the launch pad too high. I wonder about people rotating in from that eastern side as Kowix is going to sneak in an RPG shots. It does connect, but not even on the players who was trying to get the Elam from, and that's Pusher, who goes down. It's a player who grabs both of them, a quick, easy cleanup, and people are already starting to tunnel to try to get that loot.
Yeah, trying to make their way in. A bit of a lobby manipulation. I know a few people talk about it. You spray an enemy, it's just a free elimination, right? That guy taking a few AR shots gets him 2 free eliminations, 8 points. But Kowix, there's 2 people out of the lobby now, so he's still going to get more placement for that too. Ooh, Biwi getting... Oh, he's getting beamed right now. Maybe we're getting beamed. He's losing his health. He's getting shot at from a lot of people, and Kowix hears it. He heard that shield crack. It's such a distinct audio cue. The player above you is weak. If you can push them, try, but he drops back down, chooses it's not worth it. He's too close to placement points. Never mind, but then Kowix jumps. He's now got the angle on him again. Biwi comes down to his layer. Oh, the rocket with the pump follow-up is such a lethal combination. Breaks the wall, and you can just get that shotgun shot through sometimes. Wasn't the case this time, though.
And look at everybody kind of mountain goating on the side of this right now as we are getting closer and closer towards moving zone. 6 has been revealed. It's going down the mountain, but not before traversing the side of it for quite some time. Kowix has got the RPG, and that could cause a lot of trouble for everybody who's actually fighting for height at the stages as it falls off. But good thing is that that zone kind of stops right as the mountain goes off the side, so they can kind of stay up there with a bit of safety. With that in mind.
Yeah, I think out of all the ways this zone could have gone, that's probably the friendliest, going back down the mountain. It doesn't go over the other side. This is also going to be friendly for the next zone, because if this went up and over, and then it went even further across again, there is some big verticality in those zones. Gets the edit and takes him down using that purple pump to precision. He's going to keep pushing forward if he can get to front side. He doesn't have that launch pad. It's going to be so crucial to get there quickly. And now he's going to run past some opponents. Can he take him down? Wins pushing forward with that AR. He can't find his way in. Kawix is on shambles right now. He's trying to get away. He's pushing towards front side, but he is so very, very far from front side.
That he is. And the innovations in tunneling, the way that he's using the cheap stairs right above him without covering necessarily all the sides. Back when there was a bunch of full tarps, players all around him, he knows, he heard the sound cues, and now he's in trouble because people are in zone looking right back on him. But with the full metal that he has, he's actually able to get away and drop way down, and nobody's around him now. He has the time to heal, and it continues to pull off this hill. Maybe the opportunity now to go full low ground.
Yeah, this is a good position to be in. He dropped down to low. He didn't use too many mats to get down here. He's only got 15 left to his name, so you talked about trying to use those iterations of tunnels. He's going to have to be very inventive to make these 10 builds last him. 57 health, 25 shields. He's been in the best position he's been all game as far as close to zone. Here he is trying to find it. Oh, gets the RPG tag through. He's trying to get his way in with the pump as well. He can't push forward. He is going aggressive. You think this guy was 100. Doesn't matter. Takes him down. And to refresh all the materials, the floppers, the minis. He has everything he needs now.
He's got so many mats. He's got so much in tow. And there he is down on that low ground layer. It's going over the bridge, possibly even lower. Keezy in this game still. I hear the grappler in play with 10 players left. This is when the majority of the placement thresholds come through. RPGs all around. That's 4 in a quick instant. Make that 5 as Recon finds Yims. A launch pad pull from Keys. This could be huge. A quick short launch. Almost gets on the bridge. And with the materials he has to make this work underneath. He actually uses the unbreakable material of that bridge to have himself a home. Mage still in this game too. It's ally on high ground though.
That was such a good position. I'm happy you were taking that one because I was going to say a bit of a misplay. Only grabbed the launch pad, but look what he did with the launch pad. Got himself under the bridge, under the unbreakable builds. Like you said, the pressure only coming out from below now. Ollie is on second height. With this grappler, he can be at height at any point. Needs to be careful. Tippy toes on the edge. He only just holds up, comes up with the pump. He's got no builds. This is insane. He's trying to Spider-Man his way through if he can. He's just jumping up, jumping down. He can't get away. He goes down. Ollie is out of there now. We have you mad because 0-ping on high ground. He's looking very good. He's got the high ground now, trying to take some shots through. Mage goes up with him with the launch pad, makes his way past and doesn't get taken out. The rockets are dropping. Oh, he gets it to get both of them. He takes the Mage down. Mage is out of this one. Kawix on the high ground, dropping down, 3 alive. Can he close it out, Baller?
He might be able to. The RPG down on low. There's still a player up but high. It's 0-ping. And now on 1 versus 1 as it continues to go up and down the mountains. Cosmic's going to lose that wall. He has floppers to play with, but obviously that's the case because his opponent knows that too. He's going to continue to try to drop down, but Kawix knows and getting the pump shots. He has all the advantage in the world. He can work this as much as he wants, but it's still a mini shield, but he doesn't care about the heavy snipe. He lets it actually come through, lets it kind of bait. Kawix with the 4 elims, he takes the victory royale.
Oh, the edit there. He went for the heavy snipe through the floor, and then right as he hit the edit, the heavy snipe hit open air, and the pump shot hit the body. He takes him down. Zeke, what do you think about that end game? It was an exciting one.
Man, that was pretty good. Now the question becomes, though, is 4 eliminations enough to take him up there and push him up to the top 100 that are moving through? I mean, granted, look, he had some disgusting edits, some very smart heads-up plays, but is it going to be enough to get him that coveted spot that he's looking to make?
Yeah, I think that we have to keep in mind what that threshold is kind of always at. We saw basically 150 points was around the top 30 in that entire time when we looked at standings before, and he was definitely way above that. So probably in the top 20, top 15, somewhere around there, but we still got room to play. I believe there's an hour left for their queues to go on, and that means there's still games that play after that. But you have to wonder, what is that top 100 threshold right now? What is that points? Where are these players at? Because then we can kind of make those conclusions, Zeke.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's tough because I think just getting it's interesting viewing players that we don't normally see, right? There's a lot. EU is arguably the largest region, right, with the most players and so much raw talent. And now that we get to see some of that, Mage was in that game too and he made it top 10, and that's incredible. But we also watched this player just completely pick him out of the sky when he's trying to like make his descent after using the launch pad in the storm, which someone else followed up on, but it wasn't enough. And at the end, Zero Ping unfortunately bit the dust there and was eliminated, but still second place is really good because of the way the points kind of spread themselves out. Ozzy, what do you think? I mean, a lot of these players kind of have been showing up, and we still have 10 games tomorrow. I mean, it's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's looking exciting. We're trying to create those stories, right? These are their moments. They get to have those new players that maybe get overshadowed. Maybe they perform well, but all eyes aren't on them. All eyes are on them today. They're playing so incredibly well. And there are still those big names, right? Like taking down Mage is very impressive. He is a well-known player. So not only do you have more eyes on you, there are still those big players around where you can prove yourself. No, I'm not just making it through open qualifiers. I'm still taking these guys out. I'm good enough to compete, which is what they're going to have to do. Again, Sundown talked about it earlier. If you make it into finals now, like that's one step, but you have to versus other players, and they are incredible. Again, in regions like EU, the top 100 in EU, they are the elite of the elite, and these guys want to stake their claim as one of them. They need to get there, then they need to beat them. It's not good enough just to get there. They're doing very well today, though.
Pretty good showing, though, to start, and as, like you're saying, if they do make it in, you know, they got to face off against the Mitros, the Benjis of the world, right? These are the players that I'm sure they look up to in a lot of regards, right? Now to say, okay, not only have I shown the world what I'm capable of, now I actually get to go toe-to-toe with these guys in a more concentrated lobby, especially when you're looking at literally every single week having to kind of qualify to push you to the very next week until grand finals. Now, there is still that reboot round, which a much smaller pool will be able to kind of make their way back in, but it's gonna be an uphill battle for a lot of these players across not only this region, but every region as well.
Yeah, it 100% will be an uphill battle, and you're right, they will be facing off against those guys, but what we have to focus on right now is this first basically qualifying round before we get to the real week one of the Invitational. And so far we're seeing people do their best of impressions of the people that we see in these open rounds dominate. People like Wolfies, people like CRR, Mitro, Benji, specifically a big one. They're kind of doing what they normally do in this round right here, and I think we've kind of slowed down a little bit. I think you might see Wolfies, for example, go through a lobby like these and continue to do it no matter what. But now that we're into the third hour of these EU queues, we're starting to see people have to take it a little slower, take it a little calmer. Like, we didn't look at Mage that entire game. He probably had a couple eliminations, but it wasn't that 20 that he had in the first time we saw him.
A lot of these players are really going to have to focus up, especially, like you're saying, with this limited window left, and there's only so many spots to go around. You got to kind of turn that aggression and temper it some and say, like, okay, I know I need, like, roughly this many points going into this next game, or I need to at least make this level of placement if I'm hoping to even try and claim one of those spots. Like, yeah, the eliminations are going to be great, and if people can pick those up, that's going to be a huge shift in their points, especially when you're looking at things like tiebreakers. But also just being able to say, like, all right, I need to make, like, top 25. And then at that, once you hit that mark, you're like, okay, now it's, like, one at a time, 24, 23. All right, we're going up every single step, and that is just netting me more points, especially when you're looking at opportunities. Like, if I wait for someone to misstep and I pick them off, I get the 4 points, their loot, and that's just pushing me one step closer to qualifying into next week.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see. So a lot of players, it's quite spread right now. Like, it's spread before the bottom end, but at this top 100, it's going to be insanely tight. We talk about 4 points. We looked at the other standings earlier today. There was 3 and 4 points separating like 30 people. That's one elimination. So even though it's across 2 days of 10 games each day, this new point scoring format, we keep talking about consistency. That's what's going to happen. If they can just get that extra elim, if you get 3 extra elims across 10 games, that is huge right now. Every single one of these fights matters. So, I mean, I'm loving the new scoring format. Baller, how do you think about it? Is it playing out the way you thought it would? Is it keeping it more tight at the top, or?
Yeah, I think we kind of had previews of this format. It's definitely not necessarily exactly like that. I mean, we saw at ESL a format that was pretty similar. We saw a DreamHack format that was pretty similar. I think Winter Royale Day 2 was probably the most similar to this that we've seen ever. And one thing that we kind of... You talk about the closeness of the points as we get into game with Kenski. You talk about the closeness of the points, and one of the reasons for that is actually these placement thresholds being awarded at such a wide spread. So we're getting a lot of people getting the same amount of placement points in every single game, you know? Very close.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very, very close to the top now. We'll have to see how it plays out. But some of these guys are dropping some serious points, and there's other people still around them. There's a lot of big names in here. There's going to be names made from this. We obviously watched in-depth Majors 20 eliminations. That's incredible. But some of these end games, that last zone was one of the most interesting zones I've ever seen. It went all the way across that bridge on a rotating zone. Like, the chance of that happening going straight through is perfect. That was such a cool end game, and they played it well. These guys are very top-tier players.
That was definitely one of the most unique zones I've seen in even Chapter 2. Seems similar, but that bridge was fantastic, and it kept going down and up and down and up. And even that kind of, the bridge making it so that there's both a high ground layer and a low ground layer. They all played it very well. I love the addition of that launch pad, that short pad from one of the players. I forgot what the name was, but that was some quick thinking and right under the bridge. And then there was also that grappler guy who ended up falling all the way down because he had no builds and he tried to make a play on the height. Ooh.
Again, that play's so hard to make now because the grappler it has infinite uses, but it has a cooldown. You have to wait a few seconds to use it again. That has been added a few weeks ago or about a month ago, so that was incredible. He managed to almost pull it off, but then he went straight down. Here we have the agency. This is such an awkward fight right now, so we see that it's Dexy, I think it is, inside the vault looking out. He's got that right-hand peek. He's behind an impenetrable wall, so if Sinalor wants to push through, he needs to find a way in. He needs to be inventive. Because look at that. He's just, he sees the toe.
Oh.
I say be inventive, and inventive indeed. He sees the toe, he finds it, and he goes down. Maybe a little bit of a lapse in game knowledge from the player inside the vault. Maybe doesn't drop here a lot to know that you have that angle, but obviously Sinalor, he's been dropping. He knows he has that angle.
Yeah, that he does. And we've seen the drum gun be such a big impact in every single game, except maybe the last one. I don't think we saw too much drum gun play out of that, but Sinalor, he's got it. He's out of the agency, and he was already obviously in the vault. He's got the launch pad, and 4 floppers too, possibly looking to fish a little bit more, but we are in second zone, so we're hopping in a bit further along in this game than the prior ones. So that could have been even a drawn-out fight since the beginning, Ozzy, all the way to second.
Yeah, definitely. To get those 4 floppers, he also has the legendary tack. Like, my gosh, that's one of the hard things to find from these vault drops, right? They have a lot of they have the mythic item, but sometimes the shotguns are hard. You see a lot with Grotto. Walking away, you got that mythic. I mean, I saw it was so prevalent in NA East. You'd walk away with the mythic drum gun and you'd have like a grey tack, right? He's trying to find his way through. He does not have the grey tack. He has the legendary and he wants to put it to work. He can take this as a fight. He can even stop back med. He's got everything to his name. I think that's 2 launch pads too. So I'm going to have to imagine that Asian fight was a bit drawn out for someone to get 4 floppers in the water around here. Oh, the third party comes out. He's being shot. They're in a very, very bad spot for third parties right now. They're on the low ground. There's mountains to their east. There's mountains to their south. It is all open. Everyone has eyes on it, but there you go. Sinalor walks up after the third party and finishes it off in style. Looks like no one's going to push forward. That was a very clean sweep. Gets another elimination. That's 12 points off spawn. That is massive.
Huge. We see it's more of a central zone on the entire map. Here's Stampy, Zyflare in this game. Kenski, somebody that I tuned in with a lot throughout the FNCS Opens and semifinals, but didn't have the performances that he needed to break into the Sunday finals and end up being there at the heats. A nice heavy snipe attempt, but does not actually connect. Now we're in third. And a good position for Stampy. Maybe tries to move a little bit further in, but no, he's just going to stop right here. And I think you take what you can get, Ozzy. In certain situations with positioning, you just take what you can get. Don't move too much farther where you give yourself the room to get beamed from somebody already in zone.
Definitely, and when you're in Stampy's position, no extra shield in the inventory. If he walks out of his box and even takes 125 tag, he doesn't have that back. He doesn't have the minis. He can't top back up. So, smart position. Maybe he can find something with that heavy sniper. Maybe elimination close to him. Yeah, if he rotates in the open for too long without extra shields, he's going to pay for it. He might get to zone, but the next fight he's taking, he might be 100 or less health. He has the 1 flopper, but it's not going to do much once he goes below 100. We'll have to see. It's not a bad position. He's on the mountain. There's a lot of people on this edge. Look at that northern edge right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 9 to 10 people within a stone's throw of each other. There it is. Right there. Heavy snipe. Impact frag. There's the 50 shield. Doesn't need the minis. He can just farm it on the opponents.
That's for sure. I'm looking in the radar right now. And we're getting back towards a little bit more congested. Maybe that's because it's one of those central zones that people just posted up and waited. But down in the southeast of this, I don't see too many people. And with only 37 in this lobby, this is certainly going to be a lot lighter than we have seen in the past couple of games.
I have to think the shark in this lobby right now is going to be whoever got Grotto. So that southeast edge, it's very uncontested, like you said. If they can just fly in from Grotto, they've got their Grotto loot, they're looking great. But they might not be there yet because they're having that slow, long Grotto fight that we saw last game. That could be taking up all their time. And then maybe we see a few people fly in towards the end of this one with 27 seconds until this storm fully closes. They got a bit of time, but that's going to be a scary spot to be on the map.
I think so for sure, but when you actually think about the solos and the efficiency of Grotto in that case, the minigun, it's not something that you can really put to use because of you don't have a teammate to give you the time to spend there, sitting there, you know, rolling it and revving it up. It's difficult to actually apply. I think the best of the best players will be able to do that, but we'll see. Maybe one player does have it, just like you're saying, on that southeast side.
It's a very good point. We haven't really seen it put into use at all today. I don't think we've actually once watched someone who has it or it causing too many issues. Drum gun, again, no charge up time, like you said. That can be put to pressure straight into the box. But the minigun, yeah, you're right. It was more of a team game mode. You have those teams on height. Again, Chap, AV comes to mind. They have Grotto. They get on high ground with the minigun. It all goes straight through the wall. And there it is, though. Never mind. Don't come through my wall. I'm pretty sure that was a one pump. Takes him straight down. It was a legendary pump versus legendary pump. Oh my gosh. He was confident. He came in. He's like, I have the best shotgun in the game. I'm going to put it to use. No, Zodi also has the best shotgun in the game, and now he gets this elimination. All the extra floppers there, the heavy snipe as well. It's a very, very big pickup.
And on that side of zone 2, definitely did not want to have a drawn-out fight, so he's kind of happy there. Kovacs spent a lot of materials on that box up. He had like 15 extra cones, it felt like, on the outside of that. That might cost him as we go forward. He's not even in zone yet, too, so a large investment of material. Somebody right on top of him. He almost looked like he wanted to go for shots, and he does. Wow! The jumping. No ADS. Oh, yeah,
he's Kovacsed.
That's for sure.
He is definitely Kovacsed. Very nice loadout for Sush. He's got the launch pad as well up on this high ground. He's in a great position. The legendary rocket launcher, it's so good endgame. The reload speed, that increased reload speed. It's also about the damage and how much damage it does to builds, but that reload speed, if you get high ground and you can just keep dropping them with 12 rockets to spare, have to think that Sush maybe came out of lazy or maybe retail, one of those more looted POIs, or he got a lot of eliminations to try and get those rockets because he's pretty stacked on them for this point in the game. There's a lot of people down here. I think it is that central zone congestion like you were talking about. It was easy to get to zone. People just got in, based up, knowing there's a lot of people around them. This is going to be a bit more of what I want to say a vanilla zone compared to last game. It might not have the coolness of the verticality, but it's also hard in its own right. There's not a lot of cover. If you don't pick the right spot or you don't get the right zone, you're running in the open. There's no trees like we saw earlier in the woods. There's no mountains. It's just pretty much an open flat ground right now.
Yeah, there is the river that could get in towards zone. I think we'll see where it pulls because I guess there's rivers on both sides, southeast and north. And it is going to pull over towards the northeast again, hinting that maybe a player out of the grotto could be doing very, very well in this game. But for now, not really anybody in zone right now. I'm looking out for any high ground builds. There's definitely some people fighting over towards that at the same time in the distance, but neither of them are pushing up towards height.
Yeah, and you can see again, we're in those higher lobbies now, we're in those more skillful lobbies where as soon as that zone showed, people started moving, right? Like you see in those lower lobbies, people have to make the decisions. They're a bit slower with it, thinking, do I go? How do I go? Higher lobbies, they know. They have drilled this in scrims. All the tournaments on right now. There's so many tournaments for them to practice in. And oh, the shots coming out. Sush with this launch pad might be able to make something here. Might be able to pick up an elimination and late rotate. Do you think it's the right call ball? Do you think he should have maybe prioritized the rotate, then gone from shots in zone? Or do you reckon this is the play maybe?
I think depending on how many people are in zone, he's definitely going to find one elimination, possibly two. And he has a launch pad to make this worth his while, but there is a certain risk at going very late. Look at this. He's actually the only player, besides the people still in zone, that is going to be launching. And nobody. Look at this. A full launch, too. That's definitely so dangerous. He does finally get the zone pickup, but nobody shoots at him. Finally, there it goes. And he makes it in.
There it is. It's hard to know whether it was going to go that way, but 2 eliminations and he makes it in with a launch pad and only has to go through 1 mini and 1 big pot. I would say very, very right decision. Whether it plays out like that every time, I'm not entirely sure, but in this instance, this game, that was an 8 free points. It worked very well for him.
Side flare in his cone. There's a couple people directly underneath him. Sino, we saw him with the drum gun earlier in the game make his escape out, and both of those guys still on edge. Sush went all the way towards the center, had to land in a spot that in some cases is good, in some cases it's bad. It continues to pull over towards the dead side of half in, half out, where basically it wasn't even in the zone. So he kind of gets it for free. A little bit fortunate for him, but also putting himself in a space that's going to work out.
Definitely. Look at him. He's alone. I've never seen 27 people alive, front side of zone, look this just uncongested. He's right there. There's no one even close to him. He's got a nice right-hand angle. He's going to look down. He's still got that legendary rocket launcher. He wants to put out some pressure, but I think we saw how lethal he is with the AR. I think he's going to put that to use again. They're all launching past, and here we go. Can he get his 3rd elimination out of the sky? He does. Takes down another player. That's another elimination. Here we go again. Can he do it again right now? He is incredibly... There it is! 4 eliminations now this game, just out into zone. He's doing so well. Doesn't have that launch pad anymore. Maybe a bit of payback. Here we go. This might be the punishment we talked about earlier from rotating late. No, Stush going above the drum gun. Nice little rotate. He's back onto front side.
That he is. There's a player directly above him, and he edits it down. Good awareness. Ends up dropping off that big pot, not finishing it off, and cleaning up. Getting himself back up to 100 mats and possibly looking for a higher layer somewhere where he can really, really operate from. And also now the legendary rocket launcher is in play.
Yeah, definitely. He played that incredibly well. We've seen his AR aim, but that edit, that shotgun aim too, he's definitely one to look for in the lobby, but here it is. Bit of lobby focus. We talked about the minigun not having a lot of time, but this player has some time to drop it onto Sush. He's in a bad spot, but he's only taken 1 shot. 30 builds is dwindling. They're not going to stop. Here's the rockets. He has the floppers and the minis. He needs to make something big to get back in this one now. He's just gone through almost all his builds, has a phenomenal loadout if you don't count the mats right now. Other than that, he's looking good. Maybe an impact frag. Maybe he can find this player near him, get that refresh off, and he's back into a good position. He's not so bad on the rotate, though. There it is, though. Player comes from behind. This is the hardest position we've seen Stush in so far. The only time we haven't seen him in the driver's seat. He's in the bottom of the screen there. He's trying to make his way through, and it looks like he will. But we're shooting him with Cinelor on the high ground, or it looks like maybe second height. I think someone must be above him because he's still covering his head.
Yeah, definitely. And with the RPG raining down, too, he's going to actually be able to make pockets for himself to shoot this drum gun through. And he does find one. Right now looking for more. The minigun also somewhere right above him. Oh, that's so dangerous, that stairs. I thought he was going to self-RPG, but no, it's going to be an elim and possibly a refresh. He's going in the zone, looking for height too. Yes, this is going to work for Sino. This is a heads-up play if I've ever seen one.
He left it to the last millisecond, though. That was a bit of a risky one, and here comes the drum gun. We haven't seen those late flopper retakes like we talked about earlier today, but again, higher skill-based lobbies is where you can pull it off. It's more stacked, there's more cover, and these players are more experienced. He's on high ground now. He traded a lot of health for it, but there's the rocket. He's got that legendary rocket launcher in hand. He's dropping them on the lobby, and there it is, the pop-up, but as he gets it, he gets beamed from below, down to 4 players alive. Vino is here now, trying to make his way through with that drum gun. See if he can close it out with the floppers.
Yeah, he could. And now it's a 1-versus-1. Vino, 3 floppers, but high ground is taken by Sky's grappler, and all of a sudden Vino decides, I don't have what I need to actually fight against this. There's a grappler in play. He's going to use the drum gun down from low ground to really make this work. He dips all the way down and now tries to put it on even ground, and yes, beams him right through the metal floor and takes him out with 4 elims and the victory royale. 195 points to end that off for Vino.
That was us, Jay. That was the player that was pressuring on the backside of that storm. He was in that awful bad position. We saw the other player in 2. He was on 90 health, and he still made his way through, and he came second. We talked earlier, the placement points. Second is still not bad. You got a lot of placement points. It's not just that top 5 anymore. He's still got extra placement points, that top 4, top 3, and then top 2. Wasn't the crazy of an end game like last game with the Mountain Zig? What'd you think about that one?
That was definitely fun. I really, in my heart of hearts, believed Voosh was just going to push it all the way to the end. I love that he was kind of being patient with his play, and he was kind of holding those people out in the storm. Didn't quite work out, though. He did get beams mid-air. Quite unfortunate, but still just an awesome game. Now, gentlemen, you guys have any maybe final thoughts before we go ahead and head to break?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that we're seeing the drum gun be probably the best mythic item in all of solos so far. Of course, this is still the open pool of players, so we'll see what the invited players are going to be able to do with it. But right now, Agency reigning supreme.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Fortnite fan, we're going to cut to a break, and when we return, we'll have more action after this. Stay tuned. And we are back, Fortnite fam. What's up? Now joining us for the stream, we've got Sundown and Monster D-Face, the guy that people still can't tell us the part between.
No, come on,
Monster.
come on, they got
Monster.
it, they got it.
Why don't you say hello, Monster?
I'll say hi to all the people at home. What's up, guys? Monster D-Face here. I'm here. It's Monster. We got Zeke, you know.
I'm Zeke. Hello, I'm over here. How's it going? All right, but we are back for the rest of the games for EU. These first set of games have been unbelievable. I know you guys have kind of been watching on the side there. And Sundown, you casted the first set. We're going to come back for 2 more games over in EU, and obviously we cannot forget there's going to be 10 more games tomorrow that we'll be watching as well. But before we hop into the games and get the battle bus moving, why don't we take a look at the standings and see how things are shaking out for EU. Right now, in first place, Coolest Carrot. We saw his performance earlier on. Dude was pretty, he was pretty on point, Sundown.
I want to know who Coolest Carrot is, because I have a sinking suspicion that is somebody who used one of their name changes to kind of anonymize themselves a little bit and remain hidden right now. So if anybody does know who Coolest Carrot is, let us know. He's playing pretty well so far. But again, as we can say, there's a decent number of swings here that can occur. He is only 15 points clear right now of Ensar. That's just 4 eliminations as a difference. As we flip over to the next page, some other names you'll see on there. Quinton, one of the World Cup qualifiers on the page. Also Nate, who we have seen before. Kawix, Subok, Zestin, Scrib, Flois, rounding out that top 20. Now, don't forget, as Zeke mentioned, there is 10 more games tomorrow, and the scores will reset, and then we will add them up. So it's a nice little circuit, and if you're not necessarily performing today, you'll have an opportunity to bounce back. However, it's going to take a solid amount of consistency between the two. Going through, you can also see Simo, Vox, Finn in there, as well as Genesis. So a lot of names who we've seen before around the EU community and are able to perform showing up. But one thing I want to note around this point format in kind of the 21st to 30th right now, that's 3 points separating them. That is 1 elimination. That is surviving 1 more point threshold in the mid game, and then those late game point thresholds, we talk about it. The way this format is set up, elims definitely are valued high when they're valued at 4, but then you look, it's scaled towards placing in the top 5 consistently.
I did want to talk about that. I feel like the point threshold is way closer than what I was anticipating coming in. I mean, 281 points for like first place. It's very, very close to format, really proving to be true to the competitive nature of Fortnite. And that's what I really was looking forward to this weekend the most, was how is this going to impact play, right? Overall, there's no threshold on the amount of points you can earn in the game. You can just keep scoring and scoring, but regardless of what, it's still very, very close to the top.
And as you see now, you say close to the top, we're hopping in at the top. Coolest Carrot 999, you can see currently sitting at 255, so this will be his most recent game that's going to be pushing him up here. We'll see how he's able to perform. We're also hopping in midway through right now, 57 out of 99 left, so we have already hit that first placement threshold. Everyone getting a point there, then the rest coming through on elims, which our current chill little orange buddy is sitting on 4 of them, so 16 points already gained this game, and again, he's rocking that drum gun.
Hey, the Coolest proving why he is one of the best, and yeah, Bala touched on it ever so subtly in the previous game. The name of the game right now, Agency. Agency has been making an appearance all the way through, but probably because we've been seeing players like Coolest, right, following some of these similar storylines. The drum gun really making a big play. Mage is up there, still in the top 20. He was off to a crazy start. I want to say he came off the gates kind of guns blazing, but now that the lobbies are probably stacking up a little more, you see things are slowing down. He's trailing behind just a little bit, but regardless of what, I think he's behind by 20 to 30 points. That's pretty close so far from what we've seen.
Yeah, and now getting a call out right now from Twitter that Coolest Carrot 999 is actually 4E Clutch, or Clutch FN, when the U in Clutch is an X on Twitter. 14-year-old controller player. So playing incredibly well right now, showing up. And probably part of the reason why he's focusing and tunneling in on that drum gun. We've seen Epic Whale do it as well. We see Mage did it in one of the earlier games, tunneling in for that weapon and then getting in on close quarters and utilizing its ability to just shred through not only builds but its opponents is proving to be a very effective playstyle, particularly in an open format where eliminations are weighted so heavily.
Yeah, no, you're right. But what I will say this, Sundown, they didn't take any of our advice. I said pick a better name, boys. Regardless of what, though, here we are. It's VOV who's jumping in the box right here. VTN's looking for the big shot. Tactical shot, and now the pressure. This is he looks like he's a cut above the rest from some of the competition today. Look at how quick and easy he makes work of that player right there. Rec loves the elo. He's giving away the elo here to VOV VTN.
Just giving it up. Also giving over that Boombo, the rotation from the rig, not quite paying off there, and VOV cleaning it up and then rotating away. I mean, getting the nice little refresh as well as the 4 points during this stage and pushing you closer towards that top 50 threshold. That's going to be a nice swing. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of the Boombo. We didn't see it a ton in the duos, but the times we saw it, it came up with really clutch plays. There was a great finish out of one of the matches. I think Shio ended up casting that finish, and it was just so clutch. A nice little 1v2 in the European finals. I think that was week 1 from the FNCS duos in EU, but I almost think that was Mage and Castery as well. With that being said, in solos, with the amount of damage and pressure you can put on somebody as they rotate, and if you can get into a spot where you're able to free file and gatekeep with that weapon in particular, these players are good enough to make it hurt.
Yeah, 100%. We know what they can do with the weapons once it's in the arms or the hands of a really good player. They don't tend to miss these comp players here, but here's Pusher pushing into the box. It's going to be to no avail, though, as this player does sneak out. The shotgun shots blow through the build, and now he gets caught off guard with the 176 points. Look at how close Jasper is to him. This is how tight the competition is right now. They're in the same ball game as far as the point threshold goes. The skill discrepancy is not what you were used to, right? Or not what they probably expected coming out of game 1 and 2. The tide of the battle is going to change as the games go on, and you're seeing it right here as Jasper just makes a big kind of big part of his presence known here in this three-way fight right now.
And that's one thing you'll notice, particularly in Europe, you are never safe in solos. No matter how close a 1v1 is, no matter where it is on the map, no matter who you're fighting against, every single one of the players, particularly once you get up into the threshold, you're clear. Like, yes, this is an open tournament. Yes, anybody can play. There's 10 games. But once you get clear of a certain point threshold, you're not going to get those lower players. Those players who are going to be like kind of the fodder, the little fish, they churn out very quickly. Their 10 games will run out. They aren't playing through full games. And Jasper makes Mythic pay right there. A brilliantly set up shot. You saw him baiting that corner. He didn't need to go aggressive and then drops the launch pad knowing he needs to rotate back through the zone. And that's what we're talking about. Each one of these fights now, it goes from being, okay, hey, I can reliably run through 2 or 3 people before I need to really worry about an opponent. Now we're seeing you're catching mid-game fights, and each one of these guys is making you pay a little bit more.
100%. Here's high ground now. What a beautiful loadout. We talked about the minigun. The minigun not really being a big deal here in solos, which I'm so surprised of. It's been all about the drum gun so far today. Minigun being one of the most dominant weapons in a duos, trios competition, right? The squad games. I can't believe that we haven't seen it kind of run crazy right now. But let's see if high ground can kind of make me eat my words here, as he's got it this game. And this is his time to shine.
He got his elimination just yanked right away from him, and I think this speaks to Shio's point that, yes, the minigun is very strong. The rate of fire is very high, and a lot of those bullets are able to kind of pressure onto walls. With that being said, it leaves you vulnerable. It has a ramp-up time. You have to kind of be consistently putting bullets into somebody if you really want to eliminate them, unless they're overexposing themselves. And yes, in duos you can do that because somebody else can cover for you. Somebody else can reset the wall and be sitting there with a scroll reel reset, or be sitting there with it held and ready to go, or they could be sitting there with a heavy snipe baiting you. You don't have that in solos. The second somebody pushes your box and you're minigunning someone else, or somebody gets an angle on you while you're trying to keep up that consistent pressure with a heavy sniper, your game can be over. So how much of it is really worth? And honestly, I think we'll probably see less and less of it. Right now, getting the spray down, and so far, he's got 20 damage on it. Granted, third party comes through on the other side. He's going to try and press in. Will this be the time? And he got it, but largely in support from the other player. He only did 50 damage to that player.
Hey, think about it. That minigun is the surefire way to know that someone is under some serious pressure, but well played to high ground, making quick work of that. Here's back with Jasper, who once again has taking out some of our competitors we've been following with. It was Mage before. See here now who he's got in target. It's Cookie who's down low. Cookie's on a run right here. Let's see how Jasper's going to play this one out. He's got that heavy sniper looking for the shot. A little bit of an adjustment made to the heavies. It's no longer as strong as it used to be, being that the damage is a little less. He's going to whiff the shot right there, but it's okay. He still has control of this area. The short zone on the rotate. Kind of seeing if he can hold this guy out here. It's not going to be worth his time, so he's going to make the rotation in. Still near max mats here, Sundown.
Very close to max mats, and I would also argue that the larger nerf to the heavy sniper wasn't the change to the body shot damage so much so as the game mode. I thought heavy snipers in particular were so prominent in the duos FNCS because they drop in pairs at the POIs, and then, ooh!
My God.
Like you said, you talked about it, the nerf, it impacts the body shots, but when you have somebody as skilled as Jasper just turning and hitting the headshot, and then immediate 150 flick through the cone, now has the pressure, uses the heavy sniper to go through, doesn't need the body shot, just wants to break the wall, has the player coned off, gets in, double-ended up, following him around, but this player is doing everything he can to disengage, doing a good job creating multiple pieces in between him and the opponent, till Jasper gets pressured, but Jasper is going to finish it off. Prey didn't pray enough, and Jasper hunted him down. I mean, he made that look efficient. A quick double elim, and I mean, honestly, I don't shoot back at him after watching him just destroy two players like that right now. I don't want to be the next target of his focus.
No, he's making it look easy. This is what the opens are all about, guys. It's making a name for yourself coming up. Remember, the best of the best, quote unquote, right, have already got the pass to the next week. This is their time to shine here to see if whether or not they can run with the Wolves next weekend. So Jasper really showing up, jumping on the radar right there. I love the wall takes, love the cone control, love the edit through. That was a flawless execution of two different players right there. Big points for him on the board. And this is that moment in the game where things really start to settle down now. It's all about information grabbing here from Zyrax, Manette. Zyrax wants to fight. He's going to lose the exchange shot there.
Yeah, he looks like... what is his intent there? I know he wants to get close to the zone. I know he wants to try and get above the person. But it's such a weird fight to pick with so many other players nearby. You can see instantly now getting pressured back down. He was the one who chose to pick this. Manette's fine to play defensively. He's able to disengage. He has a launch pad if he needs to make the long rotation. But now they're going to get caught up in a build battle. 38 people still alive. No zone coming in. And he'll just take a 50-50. That's a weird fight, Zyrax.
Such a weird fight. He went up to height, knowing that Manette was kind of situated and planted. You were wondering who was taking the shots looking in. It was V-Wolf and Pluto off on a distance there, now making their own ground rotates. Nice and early, too, not waiting for that storm to pressure him out. Here's Jasper being ever so proactive in the mid-game right now. Such a bold move on his part to have his boxes open. Most of the high tier lobbies, you'll notice mid-game comes the quiet part, but in opens, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what your lobbies are going to look like, what players are going to be deciding to do here. Players like Jasper right now and 4 elims coming into mid-game is so impressive nonetheless. Let's see here, it's another heavy snipe block. Seems to be the special from Jasper here. Oh my gosh, can he catch another 2-for-1 right now, Sundown? He's done it before at 5 elims.
And is looking to now just disengage, get his health at least back up to the effective 150. Has no big pots there, so wants to find another pick. But notice, again, I think that was the minigun player who he ambushed, using the sound of the minigun covering from the side to get in and around. And it's another reason to show why that weapon just isn't quite as efficient in solos.
Sundown giving us the best insight here. One of the most knowledgeable Fortnite players on the scene right now. For Fortnite commentators, you gotta love everything that you can provide to this cast. As we're looking at it all kind of unfold. This is our first look at solos and just kind of getting a taste for what's going to happen in the solo season. We haven't had much other info to kind of rely on as far as gameplay goes. Look at the congestion right now. Every man for themselves right here. Jasper is just kind of in the thick of it. You have Umi underneath. He's kind of in the mid layer here. Wolf just up above. They all somehow rotated on top of one another and now sitting on the zone here.
And if you remember, these players were so close to each other on the leaderboard the last time we looked. These are all the players who are sitting in the top 20 and 30. SPK down there from LDLC as well. So you're going to see a lot more contention. Notice how every single game we've casted today, the 5th and 6th zone have had more and more people. You've had more people rotating inside of that zone early. Look in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Those arrows represent players. If you're unfamiliar with it, the blue circle is where the storm currently is. The white circle is where it's going to go. So as we begin closing in during the later stages of the game, in competitive Fortnite, the zone actually will move outside of the circle as Jasper hits one of those body shots. So, you know, the 30 less damage going through is going to be a little bit better for that player. That saves you the mini going through. A little bit more utility he's going to be able to use. But Jasper knows he's weak and is going to keep an eye on it.
Love seeing some familiar names there. I think I saw Pate there, one of our old veterans on the scene. So you see there are still players still trying to come up. See now, we'll jump back with Coolest. Coolest has been really fragging off. We know he's up in that upper portion of the top 10 right now. 263 points. He's big chilling here. His Saturday looking so good. Drum gun in the loadout. Legendary shotgun as well to back him up. He's now kind of hunting here, using all those audio cues. Still being patient though, not opening up any of those side walls. Remember, when you create the edit, it will reset the health on the wall. So having these health pool of the walls all at maximum HP is playing into his benefit here, giving them just a little more cushion, a little more safety. And this is a tough rotate Sundown. He's got to go all the way across. I see a couple launch pads in his loadout in the inventory here. I think he's looking to set one up right now. Hence moving out to the storm line, right?
Looks like he's going to go for a later low launch. He does have the 3 big pots, which are super helpful, but will take a longer amount of time and get less valuable as the game goes on. But he has the 2 slurpfish, so if he wants to tank some storm damage and then go, he has that option available to him. Right now, we're going to hop on board with Flames Dexy, I believe, as he gets a nice little triangle tunnel off and a good little reset edit, but the other player is already out. Going to continue moving forward. He has the priority position on the zone. You see Resume picking up Wolf as we get closer to the top 25 threshold right now. Flames looking to catch somebody as he continues this triangle rotation in, wants to steal a wall. He's getting relatively aggressive here, goes forward as we catch up a little bit, and he's just going to turn himself. Needs about 2 more tiles to get into the zone, and then he can look for picks, but he says, no, I'm going for picks now. Drops in with that legendary pump, gets the 200, backs out and resets to 150. He's going to pop up a layer, and honestly, Monster, I think he just wants to get in zone and then sit and reevaluate at this point. With 6 elims, he's doing okay.
He's doing so good. The little refresher really puts him in a prime situation. Finding someone on the back end of the storm line, crushing players off his layer. SMG in the end game also grossly underrated on that damage you can put through. Such a great bully weapon here now. He hasn't reloaded though, Sundown. So risky of him to continue to pressure through boxes when he doesn't have to. Decides to go back onto the rotate game here now. And there it is, taking a little brief moment right here to kind of reset, pause up, and it was worth it. The damage he did looks like some fall damage is going to get given out to Kawex here. He jumps in another box, and suddenly he's converting on elims left and right. That's going to be a refresher for Material. This could be his game, as he's controlling all of the mid-ground right now.
Well done from there, controlling the mid-ground as we jump on board with Jaspe on the low ground. This is another player we're keeping an eye on. 5 elims from him here, and this way where you really start to see him separate. A good turn to catch the player on the edge of the storm. Only cost him 10 HP to get a nice little refresher on Matt's and shield. Notice he's running a very aggressive loadout, has the heavy sniper and the rockets, but he's not putting either of them to use. Is all pump shotgun so far. Another great shot. Back-to-back elims. Right on the edge of the zone. He's going to continue to work forward. We have our top 10, 8 players remaining. Jaspe now, though, becoming the target of the lobby right as he cracks over into 200 points. I mean, this is a close end. You have Wolfie all the way up top. LDLC, SPK hanging around in the mid-ground with Eric and iResYumi as well. Foolish Carrot goes down to iJaspe on the low ground here. You can see it as Jaspe just hits his 3rd straight. 1 shot, 1 elimination pump. Can he put any parts of his kit to use otherwise? Drops the heavy sniper to go for the slurp, and we have our top 5 monster. Who's going to be able to close it out? Jaspe's so threatened right now.
He can do it. He can do it. All he needs is these big shotgun shots. He's been connected all the way through. He's on fire. There's a good little 40 shot. Now chucking him out to the zone here. He's going to follow with another. The white shot. The double 2-for-1 right there. And a third in the zone now. All of a sudden, he's running it right here. And it's a two. Two more players left. Two more players left. Jasper's coming up. He's got the mask. He's just trying to scramble up for height right now. Swordfish is going to bounce him back here. Sundown. Oh, there's still a grappler in play. I think it was a choke, though.
He only has one build. He has to drop down. He's just got a rat, and that's going to get him taken care of. That was Eric, another top 20 player. That's the one with the grappler, but he also is now stuck in the barn. He pushed in, and Wolfie closes it out, pushing forward and cleaning him up. It was so close at the end. You can see Eric actually ticked over from the storm immediately after. It was literally shot for shot, but in the end it wasn't quite enough. And I mean, there's so much aggression coming out of Europe already in these first stages of the game. Zeke, what did you think of that one, man?
Dude, that was really exciting. I never in my mind would have imagined a barn would have been their undoing. Jasper, though, wow. I loved his close quarter combat playstyle there, only carrying basically a few meds, and then that pump shotgun, like, you know, it's really interesting that it feels like he understands the very limitations of that weapon. He knew when he could kind of go in and take those shots, and he also knew how to, like, take a shot and then immediately dip from the situation when things weren't quite running his way. And that's like, I appreciate that play quite a bit. Really quickly, we'll touch on the standings, and yet again, Coolest Carrot, aka Clutch, sitting up there at the top with 306 points, but Monster, Mage, there in third. Coming up too, Castries there as well. I mean, we're starting to see some familiar faces here.
Yeah, I could definitely jump in on that one. Mage really kind of pulling through. We know that this format has been rewarding consistency, but more importantly, it has had the competition so neck and neck, because now all of a sudden you're getting rewarded for every action that you kind of take, right? You're surviving in the games, just paying off, just making it all the way through. So that extra little bit of cushion, our top 10's been pretty viable and then pretty consistent. I would say top 20, honestly, all the way through. So you look at the rest of your competitors here, guys, this is the open weekend. So if you're looking at a bunch of new faces and new names like we are, that's what it's all about. It's about finding the new gems, finding the new stars that are going to be running with the best of the best as the weeks kind of develop here.
And that's right, to just kind of piggyback and build on what you're saying, as we kind of turn the page here to the next 10 players. This is Open Qualifier weekend. So next week, the players that have already been invited will be participating, and 100 from every region will join them heading into next week, earning themselves a spot on the battle bus. So that's why we're not seeing, you know, all these super familiar names that you're used to seeing all the time. These are brand new players. Some are brand new. Some are like Castry and Mage that have been on the scene for a while and are showing up here trying to claim a ticket into the next week. And so now, I mean, you know, Mage has already showed us with that 20 bomb today. In case you're just tuning in, Mage dropped a 20 bomb earlier. It was one of the craziest games we've ever seen. But, you know, we also have seen Castry show up as well, his duo partner from FNCS Week 1. So there's a lot of this talent we're just seeing kind of come up and basically let the world know, like, hey, you guys need to be paying attention to me too. You know what I mean?
I mean, let's put it in perspective. It's one of the early game open rounds. Like, Mage and Castry won week 1 of the FNCS duos together. They just stumbled during heats and necessarily weren't able to qualify. So let's take one more step back. The people invited as they're coming through are all the previous FNCS grand finalists. So the ones who competed in Season X, then Chapter 2 Season 1, and then Chapter 2 Season 2, both PC and console and mobile track, as well as up to 100 invited influencers from Epic side. However, that varies from region to region, honestly, depending on how many of those wanted to be dropped straight into the Shark Tank that is the best of the best. So there are a variable number of spots here. It's to be expected that somebody like Mage and Castry, who can win an FNCS week in the strongest, most populated region, they should dominate their first 3 games. Like, honestly, if they don't, I was a little shocked to see the inconsistency out of Mage from his first couple games, but it might have been because he was playing just so foot on the gas the entire time that maybe got tripped up. And now we're starting to see kind of the same top 20 or so be in the matches, which is what we're going to see as we're at the end of the queue time. So all of those players with the high points are going to be getting into the same matches over and over and over again, and the ones who are consistently making late games are going to have those interactions and a chance to kind of nudge out and build their lead for tomorrow, because tomorrow points reset and we play another 10 and then we'll add them up.
That's right. Tomorrow is going to be very telling because, you know, Castery and Mage right now are performing out of their minds, but tomorrow they could falter, right? We don't really know. Every day is a different day, and though they're performing very well right now, it's a great cushion, but that doesn't necessarily mean they should slow down heading into tomorrow. I'm very excited to see more of Mage as we kind of head in tomorrow. I think he's just out of this world right now. And granted, you know, just like to touch on what you said earlier, him and Castery were a dual winner in FNCS Week 1. A winner, you know what I'm saying? These guys are on another level. Monster, I've actually asked everyone previously like what they've thought about the format and how that kind of relates its play to EU currently. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the format is like shifted EU's playstyle at all? Most of us have pretty much said like, nah, EU's full send, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it.
I think honestly we've already fostered the Fortnite playstyle. I don't think that's going to change very much from now. If anything, it's only going to reward more and play into different players and allow us to highlight players in different kind of sections of the game, right? We already know mechanically gifted players are going to dominate as when it comes down to elims and just being consistent like that. But now if you're a placement style player, like a lot of the others that we've seen in the past, this is your time to shine. It's kind of like from meta to meta. When you change the way the point threshold works, all of a sudden there's going to be new gens that come up. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I think it's not really a matter of are people going to play different. I think the play style is already there. It's just going to allow us to put a little bit more of a spotlight on other guys that know how to rotate better and make it more to end game and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. One final question for you. We'll kind of start with Sundown. How do you guys think the updates to the heavy snipe has kind of changed the game a little bit? We saw, you know, you kind of talked about it, Sundown. We saw, 130 to the body instead of that, 150 that we normally see. You maybe want to touch on that just a little bit, maybe in case people aren't, following the meta. They haven't followed Fortnite in a little while. You want to talk about that?
So honestly, in terms of impact, I talked about it a little bit on the cast. I really think that the swap to solos has a higher impact than the actual change does. If you look at the number of interactions a player encounters with a sniper as we go in, but the matches are also ready, so I'll continue this thought as we jump on in. If you look at the number of kind of interactions you see over the course of a game with a heavy sniper, you either get headshot by it and your game is over, you get body shot by it and now you'll have 70 health instead of 50 health, which will save you a mini. So that's actually relatively helpful in terms of healing and keeping somebody off you, but not super in that regard. Or somebody heavy snipes your wall and then still forces into your box, which that scenario didn't change. So it's really only like super different in one out of those three. Whereas if you compare the change from solos to duos, you can now no longer be insta-destroyed through two barriers by a double heavy snipe going through, and they were dropping in pairs at the islands. Not a ton of people are going into the old like rifle because we have carrying two with them and double forcing into boxes, but we've seen it. And you're also less threatened by the heavy snipe RPG combo, because if somebody wants to carry that, more often than not, they're sacrificing a weapon or utility somewhere else, as we've seen before. However, some players get away with it. So overall, I think the change to solos has kind of hit it more than anything else.
100%. Sundown, we're looking at the agency once again here. We're back. We're in the middle of it. We're in the thick of it. I think Coolest Carrot, from what I can tell, has some competition here. It's probably going to be the first of the early games that we've seen in quite some time. At least now we get to see Coolest Carrot in a bit of a higher stress lobby, right? Skill-wise, because as time goes on, points get higher and higher. The competition goes up too. Let's see what Coolest Carrot's going to be able to do here.
I'm gonna advocate for calling him 4E clutch. I'm gonna try and do the best to do it, just because let's try. I want to try and encourage people, if we're able to go and find them as best we can. Try and be you guys. Monster talked about it earlier as well, but like build up that branding, particularly when you're having a pop-off performance like this, and you're getting this much screen time. We shouldn't have to go through and find your Twitter bio that says coolest carrot 999, right? Like, let us give you the credit you deserve, man. You're playing super well. And also, don't forget that the queue times, there are 2 limits on it. There's 10 game maximum, and there's also a 3-hour time limit, which we passed about 7 minutes ago. So these will be the final games you'll see for EU, and then we will have day 1 standings when we come out. But as we talked about going in, we have to add the day 2 ones afterward to see who advanced to that top 600 round.
Wait a second though, Sundown. I saw the RPG come in. Looks like someone else enters into the competition here at the agency, as all of a sudden Carrot is pressured all the way back down to no HP, forced to run here. I saw Zinix there. He's just sitting still, sitting quiet, not trying to give away any information right now. Let's see what Clutch can do. Can he bounce back here? 5 eliminations, off to a very strong start here. The way the points are worth, elim points still matter so very much. Breaking into those placement thresholds matter just as much as well. I mean, it's not a lot of points, you know, for the early placements, but it's something here. Oh my gosh, though. Zinix, who was ever so lurking, is going to eat the bullets of the drum gun right there. And you see Clutch hit off a little bit of a taunt. Well deserved as well.
And in that scenario, when you're crouching in a Ven against, like, he's not going to miss you. He, like, 1, it would be very impressive if he did miss you, and 2, he's directly on top of you. So regardless of lurking there, that's a rough battle to take against one of the mythic weapons. Not going to win that exchange a lot, but now he's trying to capitalize and come through. However, the other player picking that up, and Clutch goes down 2 rockets back to back. Zenit saying, no. You don't get another game with that. I'll take that one over. And that's the danger of dropping on the mythic POI. However, if I'm Clutch, I'm saying worth. I think he picked up 5-6 elims right there before he left, so it definitely hit the first placement threshold. So leaving with about 25 points from that game, that's going to give him a huge boost into tomorrow.
Hey, not only that, I mean, he got a little bit of placement, right? So don't count that out either. Where I thought there was only 1 or 2 players here, more have entered in, so there's always someone lurking. You never quite know when you're safe in Fortnite here. And that's the thing about opens, right? You can't really determine who you're gonna get in the lobby. You don't know what players are trying to play for the agency. This is just one of those luck of the draws here where agency was super hot, and all of a sudden now the lobby's starting to thin out just a little bit right now. We jump over Rusty, who's jumping into a box, making quick work of that player there. It's all over for Rotary. So now Rusty finds his first eliminations outside of Salty Springs.
And that was a really good push from him, just immediately jumping through the wall. And that's a bit of tech that has actually come about and been, I don't want to say come about, but been exposed as of recent. It was something that I believe Booga and Clicks were doing super frequently on NA East, but there's ways that you're able to kind of phase through the wall and immediately have a shot ready to go afterward. I forget who posted on Reddit. There was a fantastic explanation video that was kind of 5 minutes long, and it showed all the different variables of how you can set it up. But had it set up perfectly, able to go through, get in the box. I'll make sure I get you guys the receipts on those, but you're able to see the kind of pressure you can get about and kind of the manipulation he's able to use to force himself into a box without a heavy sniper or without a harpoon or without a spray weapon. And honestly, that's a level of technical proficiency that you don't see out of a lot of players, but Europe does it incredibly well, and that's why their kind of skill is always talked about so much, because even in opens, you're able to see such high-level plays done on a routine basis. Ooh, 3 great shots right away. Fisty, no armor.
Yeah, Rusty looking good here. And just kind of touch upon that point. It's when you stand on the left side as the attacker.
If I do it,
exercise that at home. If you're on the
I'm
left side of the wall, you have more odds of pushing through. And if you're on defense, recognizing danger, if that guy's on your right camera peak, be a little careful if he's trying to push in. Regardless what though, here's Rusty. Once again, left side, like we kind of mentioned here. It seems like it's all muscle memory at this point. No hesitation when it comes down to setting up. As I watch Rusty jump in and out of box. Beautiful rep at it. My gosh, he's kind of clean with it. He did miss the shotgun shot though, and it's okay. He's gonna pause here. I want to get a little reset, little gentleman's reset right now, as the thigh is gonna pop his heel as well. Ace is just listening by. 56 shot exchange there. Rusty's gonna take the losing tail end of that one. Still confident though. Still wants to take the fight. He doesn't care.
Yeah, but look at the bottom right-hand corner. Look, People are creeping, and that's what happens fighting around Salty Springs. There's so many different rotational paths that come through there, and this is very quickly going to turn from a isolated 1v1 into two people trying to third party and pick it up. You can see Thaisu has come out ahead so far in the trade. Also gets a great 66 tag as he's trying to disengage here in a tough spot, but I'm not sure how much he wants to keep pursuing. He smells blood in the water, but he has to know he's been in this fight for too long.
Not only that, just he recognizes the loadout difference, right? Like, he has a green pump shotgun versus a legendary pump. You know the difference just by the sound indicator of the shot. So
the second you hear that deep little boom, yeah, no, you're backing off. You're good. And he has 40 builds left. They've burned so much he needs to get out. And no, instead you're gonna see a fight on the other side. Ace Yims, who was creeping, is now just creeped out of the game. Great little turnaround and refresher coming out from Rusty, and he's going to have a lot more room, has the map priority. If he's able to top off with the shield, he's honestly going to come out of this the better.
Rusty is kind of clean with it. Take a look at how he's backing up here now. The thigh is getting back on the offensive. He doesn't want to let this one go for free. All the mass that he did expend, the time wasted just a little bit there. He wanted something for it. Rusty now suddenly has the swing in his favor again, being that he's back on the offense. Momentum ever so higher now that he hit the headshot. See what he's gonna do, Sundown. Oh my gosh, the rip!
Great little trade. He's using the burst super effectively against his already hurt walls. Isn't going to be able to get inside, but another player crashing down. Again, you have to keep an eye on these fights. Look at the bottom right-hand corner. So many different individuals going through. Just going to launch pad out, and that's the EU special, is immediately jump on and goes straight after him. Don't look, don't know if anybody else is there, goes straight into the bush, face check it all the way through, missed the shot, but then double dink him in the face anyway with the legendary burst because you're the best player ever. Brilliantly done from Rusty, but man, that is just relentless.
He doesn't pause, he doesn't stop. Rusty's on fire right now, really riding the momentum of the Elims as he's caught a nice little chain right there. But if there's a time to fight, it's probably now for Rusty. He needs to pick up some material because he's wasted a lot. Hasn't gotten... Wait a second. I was going to say he didn't get much in return for it. All of a sudden, he's at max. Someone must have turned out a big turnaround. Okay, we got another little box fight here. Let's see what Rusty's got. We know he's fired up. He's on fire here. Still inching out, really trying to bait this player. And there it is. He falls in his box. Those are his walls. He has control. So easy. So simple. Killer goes down. Rusty finds another one here. 5 eliminations now. Good refresher. Puts him back in the game. And controls all of this space. It's all his.
He had some great shots there, and he's setting him up. My only issue is I felt like he overbuilt so much in both of those fights. And he was reliant on getting the refresher that I'm not sure that tactic will necessarily pay off.